also making sure that the outlets are covered so the children aren't sticking things in there that may be electrocuted, things of that nature. Making sure the house is maintained and clean and free of debris.
Not all family child care is operated in a house. Are there different considerations for an apartment or a mobile home?
Yes, that's correct, David, and that's why it's very important that you refer to the requirements for the multifamily homes.
Major, we've talked about the main structure. Are there any special considerations for heat sources?
Yes, no unvented heaters, heating equipment free from debris, free from combustions, and what people normally do is like to store things in those closet areas where those heating equipment is located, as well as guards around hot surfaces and open flames, such as a floor furnace, as well as a wall furnace, as well as fireplaces. They should have a solid door, a glass door in front of it to keep kids from getting into the fire, whether it's throwing objects into the fire as well as any objects coming outside the fire.
Major, we've talked about fire prevention measures. What about a worst case scenario? You've got a fire, how do we get out?
And that is very important, making sure that you have a way out. Each room should have 2 exits. One should lead a pathway outside. None of the exits should be obstructed, so make sure all of the exits are unobstructed.
We all know that everyone needs to have working smoke detectors, but are there any special requirements for child care homes?
Yes, a smoke detector should be located on each level of the home, located at the top of the stairs, as well as where the children sleep or where the children play. Make sure that the detector is maintained. If you hear it beeping periodically, that means that the battery is low. The fire department recommends that you test the smoke detector at least once a month and change the battery at least once a year.
We've heard of carbon monoxide detectors. Now, what are these and how do they work?
Carbon monoxide detectors are great to have because carbon monoxide actually is the leading cause of poisoning in America. Carbon monoxide is a tasteless, odorless type of gas which is produced by combustion as well as any type of fossil fuel that burns. Make sure you check your requirement books to see when they're necessary.
Major, it's required that we have fire drills to make sure that children are able to get out safely. Can you tell us just how important it is to conduct these drills?
They're very, very important. It's the difference between life and death. The fire drill should be done so that the child, as well as the adults that are overseeing the children, know the exits to get out of that building in case of a fire. It's very important that they practice it and at least do it quarterly so that they're familiar with the exits and how it is executed.
Now, all child care homes are required to have a fire extinguisher on hand. Can you tell us exactly why that's so important?
It's very important in case a fire occurs. And since kitchens are normally a place where fires may occur, let's go talk about fire extinguishers in the kitchen.
Major, I can see why a kitchen might be a source for a lot of fires.
Of course, yes, there's a lot of cooking done in this area, so you always want to make sure that you have your fire extinguisher located in the kitchen. Make sure that it's accessible to the adults that are cooking. And whatever you do, don't place your fire extinguisher near or on the stove, okay? And the type of fire extinguisher that we recommend should be an ABC or a BC. And all that stands for is there's the 3 classes of fire extinguishers, and A class is for ordinary combustibles such as paper, wood, or clothing, and B class fire extinguishers are for grease or any type of liquid fire. Class C type fires are your electrical energized type fires. So if one of these stovetops caught on fire, or if something on the stove caught on fire, you could easily use this. If this is not available, if it's not available and say you have a grease fire, you can always utilize baking soda, salt, the lid, things like that, but we don't want you to use water or flour. When you use those things, that's when fire spreads and creates a bigger situation.
Well, fortunately, most people have never used a fire extinguisher. Is there a preferred method for using it?
Yes, there is. Let's go outside and I'll demonstrate to you how it's used. All right, David, this is how we do our fire extinguisher demonstration. Let me take time out to light the fire. Well, as you can tell, it's not a very big fire, and it's a liquid fire. Would you hold this, please? Anytime you use a fire extinguisher, David, you should always do two things. Contact the fire department and evacuate the immediate area. Now, we also use the technique pass when we demonstrate how to use a fire extinguisher. That's basically teaching them how to pull the pin, aim the nozzle, and squeeze the trigger and sweep at the base of the fire.
All right.
We're ready to put it out now. Always approach the fire at 8 to 10 feet, pulling the pin, aiming the nozzle, and squeezing the trigger.
Thank you, Major. Appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure.
Our final topic today may be the most complicated topic we discuss. While a fire or other life-threatening situation is important to prepare for, behavior and guidance is an issue that comes up all day long, every single day. Pam Ramming is an 18-year veteran in statewide training for child care providers. She also owned and operated a family child care home for 6 years. Pam has dedicated much of her career to understanding and teaching techniques for positively guiding children through the day. She sat down with Mitzi Lee, a policy and training specialist for Oklahoma Child Care Services at OKDHS, to discuss behavior and guidance.
Pam, thank you for talking to us today about this important topic, behavior and guidance. You have a bachelor's and a master's in early childhood. You also worked in child care, correct? Child care center, and then actually Pam had her own family child care home for several years. Most recently, Pam has been a trainer and consultant all over the state, having trainings and helping providers with a whole lot of other issues, not just behavior and guidance. When we think about behavior and guidance, you know, your requirements list some things, some do's and some don'ts, and some guidelines for you. But Pam, it really is a broader issue, more about the philosophy of really opening your home to children.
You know, Mitzi, that's the hardest thing I think most providers really deal with, is it's changing your home into your business. And understanding that you're not parenting other people's children,
Right.
You're providing care for them. And so it opens up a whole myriad of conflicts and issues and situations that you really have to have some forethought to and be prepared to deal with as you enter into your new business.
And I guess it would be common that as a new family child care home, you might not think of that initially.
You know, most people come into child care because they didn't want to leave their own children
That's right.
with other people. And so they are providing very, very good care for their own children. And we're switching topics and we're moving when we start taking care of other people's children.
So Pam, in starting out of us really looking at this journey of behavior and guidance, maybe one of the first things is to think about understanding developmental stages of children, child development, appropriate expectations.
That's right, Mitzi. When we look at the research and we know what happens in child care, some of the things that are very important to focus on and to understand is that children are going to come into your home, and it's not really an appropriate place to have your grandmother's favorite vase laying down. That those are the kinds of things that you want to put up and protect, because your home becomes their environment. It is a place for the children to be. So when we look at what happens in our home, we have to stage everything appropriate for children, and we have to really put the